Hello and welcome to Fast Intentions. I'm your host Todd, along with my son Nathan.
What's up?
How you doing, brother?
Not too bad, man. How you doing?
Good.
I'm doing this late at night.
Yes, we are. We're doing this in prime time.
It's past prime time.
Well,
Halfway through prime time.
around bedtime.
There you go.
The holidays are closing in, and you feeling a little anticipation of Santa Claus showing up?
Not really.
No?
It's just not really the same as it used to be when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Even now, I'm not even listening to like Christmas music or nothing. Which I do enjoy. But I don't enjoy it as much as I used to. Because after a while, it's like, okay, it's the same damn songs. And then you just hear it in like 4 different versions every year. Yeah. So it's just kind of... Once we get closer, I'll play. Like, I like listening to it on Christmas, maybe the week before. I don't know if we're going to look at Christmas lights like we normally do. Because
we're going to try, but
our schedule's a little messed up.
Yeah.
So, like, if we do it then, it's fun. But
yeah.
So...
The challenge is to try to find new areas of town to go to that we haven't been into before. I mean, I don't know. I guess seeing Christmas lights once a year, I guess if you go back to the same place, it's really not that big a deal.
Yeah.
It's just finding a good area to go to is kind of getting harder and harder now.
Yeah, because even then, doing Christmas lights, I like doing it, but then I think last year it was kind of like, okay, go to another house with another fucking blow mold or whatever they're called. Blow molds.
Blow mold, the old plastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are classics.
I always call them blowholes because it makes you mad.
Yeah.
But.
So, that's true. I was thinking the other day, sorry, I don't mean to,
It's okay.
But I wonder if every family's like ours, where there's a particular movie or maybe we'll say a show that for whatever reason, basically everybody in your family quotes. And I know what it is for our family. And I just wondered if you have the same feeling of what show it is that I think it is.
It was SpongeBob.
Yeah, SpongeBob.
Well, it's not even like our family quotes it. It's 2 people in particular.
Well, both my nieces.
Yes.
But we quote it like a lot of times we're on vacation and I'm backing up.
You're good. You're good.
You do the you're good. You're good.
Yeah. Or we always do the what color's my underwear?
Yeah. And Smitty Warren Man Jensen, he was number 1.
No, I always quote the you got your elbow in my ribs, and then he goes, stop stepping in my potato salad.
Yeah. Yeah. So
see,
so SpongeBob's ours.
That's a classic joke.
So yeah.
And then we were talking about it a little bit before, and then I know we always quote the Rocky video game. Which, I mean, I don't know how true it is to the movie, but they have little lines in, like, the cutscenes, and we'd always listen to it. Mm-hmm. I mean, quote it.
Yeah.
We talk about Big Chuck Smith.
Yeah.
I don't feel the heat with that name.
Yeah.
Apollo Creed. Yeah. The Italian
Big Yank Ball.
Yeah. I don't know what I've been told.
If you have a movie like that your family consistently quotes and just everybody does, hit us up at F-Intentions Pod on Twitter and... let us know what those are. And
Matt also hit me back. He said he'd be honored to get a Fast Attentions koozie.
Oh, well, thanks, Matt.
So shout out to him.
We'll be honored to hook you up.
Oh, and then the other thing I want to talk about was this didn't happen last time. I mean, because it does at the beginning of December. Spotify does their Wrapped every year.
Oh yeah.
So it's called a Wrap because it calculates all your stuff and it tells you
your year.
So it sorry. It shows
Put a big bow on that one.
Yeah. It shows your top artists and your top songs. Mm-hmm. And so I was just kind of curious what yours was.
You think we have any of the same?
No. Well, probably, but it just probably doesn't pop up in my top 5.
Top songs or top artists?
Okay, well, how many minutes have you listened to Spotify?
50,129.
See, I've only listened to 25,000. So you doubled me.
But my job's conducive to me listening. So
yes. Just go through your top 5 artists.
All right, top 5 artists. With number 5 is Blake Shelton.
See, I won't have any like country in there. Okay. Unless it's...
Number 4 is Michael Jackson.
I don't have Michael Jackson.
Number 3 is Dierks Bentley.
Don't want to have that.
Country artist. Number 2 is the Beatles. The Beatles.
I have the Beatles.
And number 1 is John Mellencamp.
See, I always have the Beatles because I have so many fucking Beatles songs.
Well, there are a lot.
That they just naturally go through. So playtime a lot. See, it'd probably be the same with Michael Jackson. But I think a year and a half ago, I made the decision I got to get all these damn Michael Jackson songs out. Like, so I Beat It, Billie Jean, they're all good songs, but I'm tired of listening to them. So I only have like a few. I have like Pretty Young Thing, and then I have like Leave Me Alone. Well, songs that aren't played as much.
He sings Can't Stop Till You Get Enough. Apparently you got enough.
Yeah. Okay. So my top 5 artists. James Taylor's number 5.
Oh,
I was in a James Taylor phase for a month or so.
classic, yeah.
What's your top genre, by the way?
Mellow Gold, it's called.
What the hell's Mellow Gold?
I have no idea.
Oh, my top genre is rap.
I know what Meadow Gold is. That's a milk. It's a dairy.
I don't know what that is. My top genre is rap.
Shocker.
That tells you. 4 is Little Baby.
Little Baby.
I like it. Little Baby's good. 3 is the Beatles, like I said, by default. 2 is Kendrick Lamar, which I'm kind of like, I don't think I listen to Kendrick Lamar a lot, but his new album came out, and I listened to it quite a bit. So that's why. And then my top artist is Polo G.
Polo G.
Which doesn't shock me, because I like Polo G.
Well,
he just came out with a new song, too. I was listening to it.
Oh, good job, Polo.
Yeah. What about your songs?
Number 5 is Ride With Me.
By Nelly.
Yeah.
Why you listen to that song a lot?
I just like the tune. The words aren't I don't care for the words a lot, but
you don't smoke a doobie in the bins or whatever he says.
Yes. Number 4 is All Named the Dogs. Blake Shelton song.
No.
Number 3 is Don't Pull Your Love.
Who's that by?
Don't pull your love out, mommy, baby.
Who's that by?
I don't know.
Okay. It's your third most played song. You don't know who sings it?
Go Your Own Way.
Fleetwood Mac.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Pour Some Sugar on Me is number 1.
By Def Leppard?
Yeah.
Why
I don't know.
It just doesn't shock me at Def Leppard. I mean, it shocks me that a Def Leppard song would be there.
I play my Spotify on shuffle, so it must just come up a lot.
Well, that's my issue too, because like I like to listen to new music, but I just cycle through my same songs over and over and over and over and over and over.
Well, I have noticed a change on Spotify on your songs where I shuffle it, and every time I'd open the app and hit shuffle, it would take me to a new song. Now when I do it, it starts with the song I left off with. So I think that's a slight change for whatever reason.
Yeah, because I think
noticed
because like you hit like play, and I think it just restarts from where you were.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, so my top 5 songs, it's all rap. It's For Tonight by Pop Smoke. Good song. Every Chance I Get by DJ Khaled, which has Lil Baby in it. Heartless by Polo G, Rap Star by Polo G, and Emotionally Scarred by Lil Baby, which I know all the words to. So if you catch me in the car, Emotionally Scarred comes on. I got you.
Well, I probably will be emotionally scarred if that comes.
Yeah, listen to some Polo G.
All right.
Good artist from Chicago.
He was number 1.
He's like the same age as me too.
All right. Last time we talked, you were bemoaning the fact there was a lack of free agency frenzy. And I said, well, just be patient. The winter meetings are starting. Stuff's going to happen. Well, it happened.
Well,
a record number of dollars was spent or pledged to people. But I know you're disheveled a little bit because your Red Sox were not a participant, basically, in the big game sweepstakes.
Okay, so they were a participant, but they weren't participant in what they should have been participant in. They should have been participant in this 3 years ago or 2 years ago, the beginning of spring training. Are we going to get into it right now?
Yeah, this is our first topic.
Okay, yeah. It's so weird because, like I said, during the trade deadline, during that stupid phase where they're like, oh, we're getting rid of Christian Vasquez, but we're also bringing in Eric Hosmer. Oh, we're getting Tommy Pham, too. They're doing this weird, like, okay, we're going to tank, but then we want to be good next year because they kind of consider this like a lost season. Well, wouldn't the first thing be sign your all-star shortstop? Okay, and then he signed, do you have the numbers? 11 years, $300 million or whatever?
$280 million.
Okay. So that contract in itself, I understand why the Red Sox didn't match 11 years, $280 million, because he's already 31, so he's going to be like 41, 42 by the end of that deal, which is an overpay for sure, but the Padres are trying to win the World Series right now.
Unless you're Justin Verlander.
Yes, unless you're Justin Verlander. So, but they should have done this deal in spring training when he was open to it, but instead they didn't want to commit all the money to him, but they want to sign Trevor Story to this big 7-year deal, which doesn't make any sense. And now Bogaerts is gone, and they're talking about maybe getting Dansby Swanson. They want to spend all this money, but they can't do it to the homegrown players that are the face of the franchise, have been loyal to us for 10 years. I gave up because the Mookie Betts thing was stupid too. That they didn't have enough money to pay him because they didn't want to go over the luxury tax, which I understand because you're changing regimes. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt, which I probably shouldn't have. So the Xander Bogaerts thing doesn't make any sense, and then just now Devers is going to have to get re-signed. There's no way they're going to give him. I just don't see him shelling out $400 million 11 years for him. I feel like he's going to walk too. So cool. We signed Kenley Jansen and that
Japanese.
yeah,
Yoshida or
Machida,
something like that.
Masataka Yoshida, I think's his name, which was great signings because our bullpen sucks. We signed that Julie Rodriguez from the Cubs too. He's a good reliever in the back. We signed Chris Martin, not the Coldplay singer, but the relief pitcher. So at least they're focusing on the bullpen, which they should have done last offseason too. But then now they don't want to commit to a guy who's been with us his whole career. It's ridiculous. It's really stupid. So cool. We'll sign Dansby Swanson, I guess, which is nice.
Well,
maybe we'll make the playoffs.
If they
but
had any chance of signing Devers, they're going to have to do it early because if he plays out the season, that price is even going to go up even higher.
Well, because they said what they offered him in spring training was like 4 years, $90 million, which for all the accolades Bogaerts has, like all MLB, I don't know how many time All-Star, Silver Slugger, like it's a shitty offer, especially for someone loyal. They think that maybe they can get him cheap because he's been a Red Sox. And he even said before he signed with the Padres, he gave the Red Sox one last chance to make an offer.
To match.
Yeah, but I think they offered him like 8 years. It was more money per year, but it wasn't 11 years. If you're a Bogaerts, there's no reason why you shouldn't take an 11-year deal because you're set until you're 40. So that's pretty much the end of your career. You got all your money you need. So I understand why he'd sign that deal, but it's just dumb that the front office wouldn't do that earlier. It's ridiculous.
Well, I think the Padres probably overpaid a little bit.
Oh, they overpaid
because they tried to get in on the Trey Turner sweepstakes as well as the Aaron Judge sweepstakes, and they got left behind. So I think their mission was to have a big free agent signing, and this was the deal they had to make that happen.
Well, it's an overpay for sure, but if they're trying to win the World Series for like the next 4 or 5 years, like who cares? 9 years, 10 years. If it gets 10 years down the line, you won 3 World Series. Who cares at that point?
Yeah,
you're just going to have to suck it up and deal with it. So.
Well, I think our two big contributors to trying to win a series are the Phillies and the Mets. I would say we'll start with the Mets. Of course, we mentioned Verlander earlier. He signed a 2-year, $86 million deal, which he'll be. He's either 40 now or
I think he's 39.
He will be 40 when the season starts next year.
So. I understand why just a 2-year deal. You obviously can't give him a 6-year deal. But we haven't talked about what's his face leaving yet. DeGrom to the Rangers. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, Verlander, that's a pretty big name to replace DeGrom. But the only scary part is he's so old. You never know when he's going to.
Well, and then he gets to reunite with Max Scherzer, who he pitched with in Detroit.
Yeah, so. He's got the early 2010 Cy Youngs on the team. Mm-hmm. They just need to sign David Price, too. Yeah. So. That's a good, like I said, it's a good face value, but you just nervous. You never know. Because, Father Time always kicks in. You never know. And DeGrom is the best pitcher in baseball by a wide margin. The only thing about him is he gets hurt quite a bit.
Yes.
And then they also made a good move with, they signed that Japanese pitcher, Senga. Mm-hmm. Kodai Senga.
Yeah, so that's
the 5 years. And then they got,
re-signed Nemo.
And who's the other, they signed another pitcher.
I'm not sure. I just wrote the big contracts down.
They just signed another pitcher for sure. I can't think of who it is. Or was it just Taijuan Walker leaving? It may have been.
They let Taijuan Walker go, and that leads me into the Phillies. He ended up signing with the Phillies at 4 years, $72 million. And I think that's a really good signing for the Phillies based on this market. I mean, that's a good price.
Good price. They need more pitching, and then they got Trey Turner. So. Yeah. They're a team that is ahead of expectations getting to the World Series. And so they obviously want to go back. Adding a guy like Trey Turner and then another quality pitcher, that's only going to do wonders for them.
And Trey signed for 11 years, $300 million.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Jose Quintana was the other pitcher.
Oh, that's right. Yes, a 2-year deal. I saw that.
Yeah, so, I mean, losing DeGrom sucks, but getting Verlander, him, and then that Senga, I mean, that's as good as you could do. Because, they had the best probably rotation in baseball. Before that with DeGrom, Scherzer, Taijuan Walker, and all of them. So,
didn't Taijuan Walker pitch tonight? We were there, wasn't that? Didn't he start that night?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he looked pretty good. Let's move on to the Cubs. They had plus and minus. They did sign James Taillon, a good pitcher, for $68 million over 4 years to kind of help out their rotation, which they needed. But they let their big fish, Wilson Contreras, walk. and he basically ended up with the rival St. Louis Cardinals, replacing Molina, who retired finally. Mm-hmm. And he got 5 years at $87.5 million.
So that puts, and then they signed Cody Bellinger to a 1-year deal, correct?
Yeah, which was basically his agent wanted a deal where he could come in, sign a 1-year deal to kind of prove himself again after surgery and show that he's back healthy.
Because his numbers haven't been good the last few years.
Yes.
Which, I mean, is a decent signing for the Cubs. The Tyon deal is just kind of whatever. Because now the Cubs should be full rebuild 100%. Because now literally everyone's gone from that World Series team. Yeah. So, I mean, Tyon, he's just a good pitcher to have. And Cody Bellinger, sure, go to a bad team where he can kind of spread his wings and show that he's still valuable so he can go get a bigger market deal later. This is just kind of reset time for the Cubs.
Yeah, at $17.5 million, that's not a big risk, to a guy who, even if he's average, is one of your better players.
And like I said, they're rebuilding. They're not competing for anything. May as well let the guy prove, and then maybe you could trade him at the deadline, get some more prospects in. It's just a good deal for the Cubs.
That's what the Royals model is, basically. So, yeah. Oh, well, and then, of course, we left a biggie one for last. Aaron Judge re-signs with the Yankees. After turning down a 7-year, $213.5 million offer, he rolled the dice and bet on himself and
had one of the greatest seasons ever.
Yeah. So he ended up signing for 9 years for $360 million. He chose to re-sign with the Yankees over the Giants, the San Francisco Giants, and the Padres. And a lot of people were thinking he was going to end up with the Giants, his hometown team. But the reports are that he had a deal with them, but he wanted the Yankees. Brian Cashman just said, after you decide, give us just one more chance to come back, to see what we can do after you agree to a deal. Well, they came in big time and pretty much made it real easy for Aaron Judge to sign on the dotted line. Yeah,
that John Morosi for MLB Network said too. He took less money because he wanted to be with the Yankees still. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, that's the team you've been with your whole career. They usually always have that sentimental piece. And sure, I mean, what was it? 7 years, $360. I mean, that's still a lot of money, no matter what.
9 for $360.
9 for $360. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think I thought that was a 7 there.
It is up there. That's a 9 over there.
Oh, my bad.
Look at your own notes there.
I don't have any notes, but.
Yeah.
So, that doesn't shock me. The only thing it'd be is if he wanted to go play for the Giants, because I think that's the team he liked when he was a kid.
Well, that's his hometown. He's from there. So.
Okay, I didn't know it was his hometown.
Yep.
But yeah, that was the only thing, really. I mean, unless the Padres threw him out of the water as well with money. So, yeah, that's lucky for the Yankees that they were able to still get him. Because like I said, the Bogaerts thing, they didn't offer him the money he rightfully deserves. And then he came back and said, basically, I'm the best player in the league, sign me. And they're like, well, we can't do anything about it now. We do got to sign you. So good for the Yankees to get their star guy. And they're looking at Carlos Rodon still, who's on the market.
I've seen the rumors on that. Yeah, so you can kind of tell the teams who are really think they're going to go for it, or at least put their foot in and make a run at the title this year. The Phillies for sure, the Padres for sure,
Mets.
It waits to be seen if the Dodgers do anything on the market since they lost Turner. I mean,
and they got Clayton Kershaw again.
Yeah,
he'll keep signing 1-year deals until he fizzles out.
Sure. Well, so I expect them to make a signing of some sort. But it'll be interesting to see this next wave of signings and kind of see who comes in and starts signing. But like I said, these are all dominoes. So now that these big fish have signed, other things will start filling in. In the gaps and taking place, and people that lost out on this player or that player will have to go to their backup plan, like you mentioned, Dansby Swanson. There was several big-name free agents at shortstop available this year.
Carlos Correa is still available.
And he was one, they thought, thinking-wise, he would be one of the cheaper signings of the ones that were available. So we'll wait and see. These guys have set a pretty high market right now, so the other guys who haven't signed yet right now are just saying thank you and see what they can get.
Yeah, the Red Sox thing still pisses me off. It's just like, how can you not commit to that guy who's been there forever? He's been our best player, well, besides Mookie Betts. He's been our second best player forever. He's the heart and soul of that team. And then just like, we don't want to pay you the money. And then, I don't know how you let your star shortstop get the free agency in the first place. They should have signed him when they had the chance. Oh, well, we wanted to sign Trevor Story to play second base. Cool. I said when they signed Trevor Story, well, if this interferes with them signing Bogaerts or extending Devers, it's a dumb deal. Sure, look what happened. Oh, but we could go get Dansby Swanson, offer him same amount of money we could have signed Bogaerts for. Cool. It just doesn't make sense. And then, oops, I keep hitting my mic. I apologize about that. Other losers of the deadline, the White Sox. They had big World Series expectations. They kind of shit the bed last year, being a 500 team, and then they lost. Moves. Yep, and then they lost Jose Abreu. So now they got to decide if they're gonna keep going in or they're just gonna pull back. 'Cause remember, they spent all that money on free agency the last few years to get there, and then Tony La Russa, they didn't do nothing. So
he's out.
Yep. Like you said, Phillies, Padres. I had another loser, but I can't think of who it was. The Cardinals were good with Contreras. That's a great sign. And they'll still be competitive, too.
They'll definitely.
Like I said, people kind of said the Cubs were bad because they lost Contreras because he could have been their franchise guy, but even if they signed him, they're not doing anything. I think that Bellinger signing is good for them.
Well, I know Contreras wanted to stay there. I mean, he gave them every opportunity to sign him, and they just didn't do it or couldn't do it. So. Oh,
and then the Rangers thing's really weird too with DeGrom. They offered him all that money, and DeGrom said he wants to go win a World Series with Texas. And I know they signed Coy Seager, they signed Simeon, and they have him, but does that roster that just doesn't still seem like a playoff team?
It's weird. I know when we talk about free agency frenzy initially, I did throw the Rangers out there because they tend to make a big splash in the beginning of free agency and try to sign a big name. And they tried again this year. Just, DeGrom was the fish, and they reeled him in. So
they signed Andrew Heaney, to a 2-year deal, decent pitcher. And Martin Perez was good for him last year. So they're trying to do what the White Sox did. Well, they're trying to bring in these guys. Unfortunately for the White Sox, it didn't really turn into much more than a division title. And kind of the year you kind of expected to put it all together, nothing happened. So we'll see how well that works for the Rangers. But cool, they got DeGrom and those two center infielders, but otherwise, who cares? And then and they said, I don't remember what the stat was, but the three infielders the Padres have, they're like making over $300 million. So it's just like ridiculous what San Diego's doing. They've been trying this for years. That COVID year, everyone was making fun of them because they were trading everyone away. Oh, we're going to bring in Blake Snell. We're going to bring in Yu Darvish. And shoot, they're still trying. So they were close last year.
Knock up the Dodgers.
Beat up the Dodgers.
I was rooting for them.
The damn Dodgers who disappoint every year. I'm not picking the Dodgers to win next year. I had a favorite. I kind of like the Padres, but they scare me. We'll talk about that when the season comes up. Red Sox won't be in the playoffs, that's for sure.
All right.
Oh, do you want to talk about the Royals not doing anything, or?
Well, there was anticipation maybe they would do something, but with these figures coming out, it seems like from what I've seen and read, and I saw a little bit of the Quatraro's news conference, they might try to just work with what they have now and try to make them better, improve them. And then they might, do like a fourth or fifth layer, piece. And I know they want to try to bring Greinke back, but that'll just kind of. I assume Zach will either re-sign with them or probably retire.
No, that's a full-blown rebuild over there now. Start. Yeah. It was weird that Moustakas, Hosmer, the Kane thing. It just kind of it only lasted a few years because they were still so young. It was kind of crazy that it didn't.
Well, they
did have a lot of old players on that team.
Well, they tried to ride it out an extra year, and Dayton should have traded off a couple of pieces and could have got some talent when they were still, good and big names, and producing. But he decided to make one more ride at it, run at it to try to win the World Series. And you kind of knew that wasn't going to happen. After they won it, it just generally doesn't happen again.
But like I said, in fairness to them, it had been 30 years since something like that happened. So
definitely. And they had been to the championship 2 years in a row, so the AL championship. So
yeah.
All right. That's all I have with baseball. Nothing else to add? You've got all your venting out. So
yep, Red Sox are stupid.
All right. Heisman Trophy.
Caleb Williams.
Do you? I know you're probably working, don't see the ceremony, but is it something you follow, or is it just
what the Heisman ceremony?
Just is the winner of the Heisman Trophy important to you? I mean, it's the most prestigious college award, football award there is.
Well, it's definitely something. Like I said, I don't watch a whole lot of college football, so I mean, like I can't tell if Caleb Williams is rightfully the winner or not. But from what I've seen on Twitter and I watch clips, like he seems like a pretty damn good football player. So, I mean, it just makes his name more marquee when it comes to draft time. Because normally the NFL is usually where I start, like caring and watching stuff. Mm-hmm. I need to get more into college football and kind of prospects before the draft. So it definitely holds weight for sure. But even then, how many Heisman winners in the league now are doing a whole lot of nothing?
That's true.
It's always kind of weird. Heisman winners seem to be the ones that kind of fade out.
Fade away, yeah.
Because Baker just led a 98-yard drive to beat the Raiders. And he said, I don't know. He was in the hallway in the locker. He said, which way do I go to get back to the locker room? He was only in SoFi for like a day. So that was funny.
Well, it was pretty much a runaway for Caleb. He had 544 first place votes, which gave him a total of 2,031 points.
How many voters are there, do you know?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Max Duggan, the TCU quarterback from over the river in Council Bluffs, came in second at 1,420. And I think the voters vote for first, second, and third, and you get points for each place. Like you get, and like this isn't. Don't quote me, but like if you get a first place vote, that's 10 points. If you get a second place vote, that's 8, and third 6, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
So, but there's only 4 people invited to the ceremony. So
who the other two?
They were both quarterbacks.
Do you know?
Those are the only two. C.J. Stroud.
Oh, duh, from Ohio State.
Ohio State, and I don't remember the other quarterback. So
no, I knew Max Duggan. I don't know why I didn't think of C.J. Stroud.
Duggan was the only one in the thousands, point totals. The other two were like 600 and 300. It wasn't really close. I mean, Max was the closest to Caleb, and it was like,
It was that Stetson Bennett from Georgia.
Okay, there you go.
And then
So it was like
Hayden Hooker was he was like 5th.
But he wasn't Tennessee guy.
He wasn't at the ceremony, yeah.
So, I mean, basically Caleb was a runaway, and there's a deadline to have your votes in, but some people vote early, some people wait, and Caleb did lose to Utah in the Pac-12 championship game, but even though he was injured, he still produced 363 yards passing and several touchdowns, and so congratulations out to Caleb. He's I think he's like the 8th Trojan to win the award.
They said I saw that stat.
Yeah,
congrats to him. I don't know if he'll be having more F blah 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 on his fingernails anymore after losing to Utah again, but
we'll see.
He'll be a high pick.
Yeah. Now outside of the traditional rival games we talked about last week, there was one game we didn't mention, and that's because it's always played on this weekend kind of by itself, and that's Army versus Navy.
Yeah.
And Army was able to pull out the win in double overtime.
Ooh.
So congratulations to the cadets. But do you know these teams have played for 123, well, I was going to say straight years, but have played 123 times and have never played an overtime game till this year. And then it went double overtime.
I didn't know that, but yes. I know they play a shit ton.
Yes.
Wasn't one on a big win streak? Is that Navy who was on the huge win streak?
Yeah. Actually, I wrote this down. The overall record is Navy's 62, Army 54 with 7 ties. However, Army has won 5 of the last 7.
Ooh.
So
I feel like there's always a streak in that. It's like this team wins a line and that team wins a line.
So I have a quiz for you.
Uh-oh.
How many combined passing yards, Army, Navy, do you think they threw for in the game?
Not a lot. Probably. Oh, shout out to my man Kavan, too, in the Army.
Okay. Thank you, Kavan, for your service.
Yeah, he just sits in Discord and plays video games with us. You don't do much in the Army. I'm joking. Shout out to him. I don't know what's high and what's not. I don't think it's going to be that high. What was can you tell me what the score of the game was?
I believe it was 20-17.
Okay, so not a lot.
Well, let me give you a clue. The total passing yards after the first half was 0.
Oh, okay. So not as high as I thought. I was thinking like maybe 100 was too high.
That's too high.
Okay.
Army and Navy combined for 53 passing yards for the entire game.
That doesn't shock me because they run all those options and shit, which is always fun to play in the PS2 video games. You play Army, you do all those triple options. And as a kid, I couldn't understand what the hell was going on.
Give it to the fullback.
You have to hold A to give it to the fullback. Yep. Well, if you don't hold it, they'll keep it. And it's just like, oh, shit. So
you got to know when to pitch.
Yep.
So yeah, that's always. I can remember watching that game with my grandma when I was young, and she was just talking about look how nice the cadets are when they come in their uniforms, because all the people that aren't playing will sit in the stands, all the cadets and midshipmen,
Yeah.
and then they cheer or whatever. I mean, it's a great atmosphere. It's like a soccer match. There's usually not a lot of scoring, but it's a game I just enjoy. I don't get a chance to watch it much anymore because I'm working, but I always check in to see what happened and see who won. Unfortunately, Navy decided to fire their coach after the game. So he had been their longest tenured coach and been there for 18 years, I believe. But Navy was 4-11 this year and just hadn't quite been the same team they had been. But a lot of that's based on the recruits they get and stuff like that. So sometimes you're not always in control. They can recruit, but they're really set to a strict level of people they can recruit. So
Especially the Army Navy game.
yeah, so it's got to be hard.
Or the Army Navy universities.
And they play for the Commanders Cup, and that of course involves the Air Force. When the Air Force plays. So, do you watch the Army Navy game much? Have you ever seen it? Or really?
Well, like I said, I've watched a lot of I've seen plays and stuff.
Uh-huh.
But no, I haven't I don't think I've sat down and watched the Army Navy game for a while. I did a few years ago, I think. Fuck if I remember what happened in that game, but.
Well, the gameplay itself is probably not the best, but tradition and just like I said, seeing all the cadets and people in the stands and doing their cheers and celebrations they have and what have you. It's a fun thing to watch, and I've always enjoyed it. So, so props to Army, they're on a roll, and it'll be interesting to see who Navy decides to hire and if they keep running the option game, the triple option, or some various form of the option game.
It'd be fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch the option.
Yeah.
It's the only reason why I'd watch the game, just for the plays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fun, and some of those plays get really creative. And like you said, even watching it live, it's sometimes you're like, who the hell has the ball? So. And if one of those teams gets a quarterback that's really pretty athletic and can even throw a little bit or is fast, they usually have leg up.
Oh yeah.
In the series. I wanted to move on to the pros here. First of all, I wanted to congratulate Philadelphia. The Eagles, 11-1, have been the first NFL team to clinch a playoff spot. So they've been the team to beat most of the year, and looked pretty strong except for the 1 week, and bounced back today and put a pretty good thumping on the Giants in the Meadowlands. So,
are they your title favorite as of now?
Which is, it's hard to say because I don't know who else is going to be in it.
Well, that's a loaded question too, because of course the Eagles are the favorite because they've been the best team so far. But how often does the best team win the?
Yeah, not very. And the playoff is a different animal. I mean, like I said, teams can just solely focus on you and put all their time and effort into you stopping your team. So, and they've seen you play all year, so there's not much you have that they haven't seen. So it's just a mano y mano, as they say a lot of times.
So it's like the Eagles. Obviously, you want to pick to win the Super Bowl, but like the odds are they probably won't. So, and then with Von Miller being out for the rest of the year, that doesn't help their Super Bowl odds.
Yeah, Buffalo.
Towards ACL, yeah, because Buffalo, they had the elite offense and they had a good defense, and then Von Miller is what made it elite. And now that he's gone, I mean, not to discredit their defense by any means, but it doesn't make them as obvious of a Super Bowl favorite as they were. But even then, they've had some bad losses, so it kind of made you wary of Well, I don't want to say wary because everyone knows Buffalo's good, but it didn't make them as like, oh, this is Buffalo's year, 100% for sure. Now that the Eagles are 11-1.
Well, I would say mid-season, a lot of people, Buffalo beat the Chiefs in Buffalo.
Yeah, so that was
a lot of people are thinking, well, they're a strong favorite. Well, Buffalo's kind of fallen back a little bit
because then they lost to the Jets.
Yeah, and I think the Dolphins maybe
they lost to the Dolphins like week 3.
Yeah,
because that's when the offense coordinator was slamming all the papers.
I think they have three. I think they have 3 losses.
They lost to someone else that I don't think was that impressive of a. But there's impressive losses. That wasn't an impressive loss.
Von Miller does balance out their defense, and he gives them an edge presence that most teams don't have. He's just one of the elite pass rushers, and a lot of teams have good pass rushers, but they don't have the elite pass rusher. And then And that's a guy that can step up and make a big play sometimes. When it's needed. And
The reason we didn't know is because it's when they played that game against the Vikings when we were in Boston.
oh, okay.
Remember that great game everyone talked about, and that we didn't get to watch it because we were out of town.
Yep.
Doing the escape room. But even then,
that's right.
they're 10-3 and they're on like a 4-game winning streak. So I mean, Buffalo, they're still going to be in the
Well,
conversation.
there's still 3 weeks of regular season, and so things can still happen or change. So
And then I think most of it's wide open. I think anyone in the AFC could win it. And even though the Eagles have been the top team, I think. Well, in actuality, I think it's kind of going to come down to the Eagles or the Cowboys, which kind of scary. We'll have to see about the 49ers, too. I like the 49ers a lot, but that depends on Devo got carted off today.
plus, then you got to rely on Purdy to lead your team.
Yes, that's true, too. I totally forgot about that. Which he played well today, kicking Tampa Bay's butt.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, Tampa Bay hasn't looked good all year.
Tampa Bay's just kind of a shell of themselves this year,
And then Tom Brady also said he still doesn't see retirement in his future. So whatever the hell that means. He should have won that Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. Screw you, Belichick. I can win without you, and got out of there.
like Clubber Lang said in Rocky, you should have never came back.
There you see. Look, we quote Rocky all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to what you were talking about. Sorry, I kind of went on a tangent about Von Miller.
No, that's fine. That's I had that note written down. Yeah, the NFL fined the Saints $350,000 for faking an injury. Have you seen this?
No, I
Have you
haven't
read
seen
about
it.
Well, apparently it was Cameron Jordan, and he faked an injury against Tampa Bay. And
Last week?
yes. And the NFL had issued a memo on the 2nd of December warning teams about doing this. And apparently cameras showed Jordan being directed by the sidelines to stay down, not get up and fake an injury. Mike Fleuro's reporting this as well. It happened in the fourth quarter after 3rd and 17. And Tom Brady was lining up to run a 4th down play, and that's when Cameron Jordan,
Faked it.
became injured and was pointing at his left leg like something was wrong with his left leg. Now, Jordan and his position coach, who I failed to write down, each were fined $50,000 for the incident, and Dennis Allen, the head coach, was actually fined $100,000 for the incident. So that only adds up to $200,000. So I don't know if the extra $150,000 was paid by the Saints themselves,
Probably.
or the Saints paid $350,000 and there was other people fined. I didn't, that's not mentioned in the articles that I've seen. So, but yeah, it's good to see the NFL enforcing this. I mean, you see it a lot in college where these guys just pretend like they're injured or whatever. It's easy to fake a hamstring injury, but it's always funny to me when you see the guy kind of running off the sideline and all of a sudden, and he stops and just goes down to a knee, and he's just like, starts rubbing his leg or something. And it's just like, come on, But these guys aren't actors. I mean, they're paid athletes, but they're not actors, and so it's like soccer's creeping into the NFL a little bit.
Well, I was going to make that as a joke. Maybe you've been watching the World Cup.
No,
But did you see the play?
I didn't actually see the actual play.
Because I was going to say
I was working last week, so I didn't see much.
Because you can tell when people flop, but I don't know. Sometimes someone's down. I mean, can you really tell if they're like faking it, or like how does the NFL determine that he was faking it? Like,
well, if it happens during the course of the play, then it's really hard to say. But like I said, if they're fine and they're running off the field and all of a sudden they stop and drop down to a knee or fall down or whatever, then I mean, then it's just,
if it's egregious like that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if you watched because I haven't seen it. I didn't even know about it until you just mentioned it because that was the Monday night game. Right?
Well, I wasn't referring to that particular play when I made that statement. I've seen that before.
No, I know. Like you said, you didn't seem like you saw the play either. But I'm saying if it's like that egregious, I understand. But like if he was just down on the ground and they told him, well, I guess maybe they have shots of silence of the guy telling him, "Hey, stay down."
Yeah,
So,
Mike Floro reported that the camera showed that they were telling
okay,
him
well
to
then
do
never
that.
mind. But I was going to say, otherwise, how can you like prove that? So
Well, there's cameras everywhere, so it's hard to.
there's so many angles that we don't even see.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it'll be good to see the NFL cracking down on that, like I was saying before, because to me it just kind of ruins the flow of the game, and it's gamesmanship, which you can do that in different ways, but it just like you said, a good word is egregious. If it seems obviously it's very egregious, then yeah, I'm glad they're probably trying to crack down and do something about it. But it seems like a lot of the rules the NFL are bringing in is trying to make the game more enjoyable for the home viewer. Yeah, they want people in the stands. I mean, that's their bread and butter. But they want to make the viewer at home feel like they're being valued and they're valuing their time.
Well, they change these roughing the passer calls if they care about me.
Well, yeah, that's another story.
They were interviewing people on Fox Sports, and they were asking them, what rule would you change? At least all of them said roughing the passer calls. Like Charles Woodson said it, someone else said it. I can't think of who else was on there. I provide a lot of great information on this show.
You do.
I mention things and don't know anything about it.
I don't know
but yes.
who it was, or what it was, or where it was, but I heard it.
But I knew it was there.
Somebody tweeted about it.
You see my notes right here? Von Miller, Torrey ACL for the season. Is Buffalo still title favorites? Yeah. That's all I have on my notes.
Do you want to talk about that
well,
before we move on?
We did we mentioned it a little bit.
Well, a little bit.
I still like Buffalo.
For the Super Bowl or for the AFC?
Super Bowl.
Okay.
Because that's who I picked right into the year. I don't even remember who I had. No, I had the Bucks and the Bills, and I picked the Bills. But the Bucks ain't going to make it.
No, I don't think so.
I had the Rams in my 1 seed. That's not going to happen. I think they may be eliminated already. Actually, I think that
they might be. They got Baker Mayfield now.
With that win, I think it prolonged their elimination. The Broncos just got eliminated today.
Yeah, they actually were down 27-0 and kind of roared back and made a game of it.
I had the Broncos as my 7th seed, I think. That was just... I don't know if I was predicting them to go to the Super Bowl, but that whole Russell Wilson, that just seems like that's a big shit show. I don't think anyone expected that.
Well, they have a lot of pieces. I mean, they have a really good receiving core. They had good backs. Now they're all gone or injured.
Yeah.
And Russell Wilson, as we've hinted at or talked about a little bit, just hasn't performed even close to what he was in Seattle.
Which is crazy that, like...
I think he might be injured or something. He might have an injury that he hasn't disclosed.
Well, no matter what,
I don't know.
I don't think Nathaniel Hackett's going to see a second year, unfortunately. Which is good. Bring him back to Green Bay.
Yeah, you mentioned that last show.
Yes, I'll mention it every show until it happens. But no, that's just crazy.
Speak it into existence.
Because they can't just give up on Russell Wilson. They signed him to that big-ass extension. They gave up so much for him that they're just going to fire the coach and let's ride again. So we'll see. I'm kind of curious to see how they are next year because it's just hard to fathom that they'd be so bad with that receiving core and Russell Wilson. It's just, I still don't really know what the hell's going on there. So like we said, it was kind of like I said. I'm going to say it again. The Vikings are 10-3. They lost to the Lions today. I like the Vikings. But the reason I didn't pick them to win the playoffs, I think I kind of underestimated the talent they have on that roster because they do have a lot of talented guys. Thielen, Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, Cousins. Those are all good players. I don't know why I didn't think they're good enough to make the playoffs.
T.J. Hawkinson, yeah, sure, they got now. But I still don't see them as... I don't think they're going to make the Super Bowl. Yeah, their defense isn't...
They have a great pass rush.
Yeah,
but their back end isn't the best.
Yeah, their defense I don't think is strong enough. I mean, their offense will have to try to play catch up, and if a team can shut Jefferson down, I mean, they have to rely on Thielen, who's a good player, but he's not the Thielen of several years ago either. So
no, he's a good number 2, especially with Jefferson. So the 49ers with Brock Purdy, does that scream Super Bowl to you? Not really. I mean, their defense is really good. No. It just doesn't. Seahawks were a great story, 7-6.
Well, like I said, I just never was really sold on Geno Smith, even though he's been having a good.
He's been really good this year.
Just not sold on him.
Whenever the hell they pick in the draft, they don't have a quarterback there. They'll probably just let him ride with Geno again. The Bucks are going to make playoffs probably, even though they're 6-7. They still lead the division. So nothing with them. The Vikings, I'm not 100% sold on. The Lions may make the playoffs, which would be
the Lions been tough.
Good for them.
5 out of 6, and. I saw 2 words associated with the Lions today that I thought I'd never see. Red hot.
I know.
And they are red hot.
I know. So that's good. It's good to see Detroit have any success.
I think their only loss in the last few games is the Thanksgiving Day game to Buffalo.
That was close. They could have won that.
They played them really strong, and they had a chance.
So the only thing I really see is the Eagles and the Cowboys coming out of the NFC, which sucks because I hate the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. But even then, they struggled with the Texans today.
Yeah, they should have lost to the Texans.
So... I don't know. I know we'll kind of say, well, the Eagles are the easy pick, but they may be the best pick so far. Them are the Cowboys. Then AFC's it's loaded. The Ravens, who knows about Lamar Jackson? Oh, they also did. Sorry, I'm going back to what I said. They did say Jimmy Garoppolo could make a late postseason return.
Yeah, I saw that.
If that happened.
Yes.
So I mean, if they could get that far, if he comes back, that puts them right in contention again.
Sure.
The Ravens, Lamar Jackson, we'll have to see how that plays out. 'Cause do you know how long he's supposed to be out for?
I don't. I thought I saw 8-week timeline initially, but
So
that
that
might
doesn't
have
look
changed. I
that
don't
doesn't
know.
look great either.
No.
Especially with Huntley, who's kind of he's like I don't want to say a knockoff because that's disrespectful to him, but he's like the great value version of a Lamar Jackson. They kind of have the same style, but he's just not Lamar Jackson.
He's like the generic. If you go to the store, you can have Lamar Jackson or you can have the generic. He's the generic.
Yes, he's that, which is kind of cool. They chose a backup like him, so you can kind of mold into the offense.
Well,
so
yeah, so the offense wouldn't have to change that much.
The Bengals are red hot right now too. Speaking of red hot
And
team,
Jamar Chase is back.
yeah, they've won 5 in a row. They could be.
But T. Higgins got injured in warm-ups today, so he missed today's game. So
The Titans are leading the AFC South. I like the Titans, but they're not.
they're not.
They don't have the receiving, or Tannehill is not good. They'd have to rely 100% on Derrick Henry.
Yeah, they're really inconsistent. If a team can shut Derrick Henry down, then yeah, it's tough for the Titans to move the ball.
So, and then the Chiefs.
Yeah,
The Chiefs are Chiefs. And then the Chargers have been disappointing 6-6. Who knows? Staley may kind of.
Yeah,
He's on the hot seat.
Chargers have had several injuries though, and so it's been tough for them.
Plus,
You know,
Justin Herbert's probably still got broken ribs from that game against the Chiefs.
Might be.
He's been hurting all year.
Yeah, they haven't had their full lineup healthy for most of the year. So they have, like you said, a lot of talent with Eckler and Allen and Williams and Herbert, but like I said, they just haven't played together that much.
And then I didn't mention the Dolphins. The Dolphins are. I think they're a good team. Would I put them in Super Bowl contention? Probably
They're
not.
struggling tonight with the Chargers.
They're 14-20 right now. They're losing.
Yeah, they just haven't done much. I couldn't remember the first half stats, but they had less than 100 yards at halftime. So the Chargers are doing a good job shutting them down. And
Patriots, no. Jets don't have a quarterback. I don't think Zach Wilson's the guy.
well, he's benched right now. Mike White's the one playing, but
And then he got benched for Joe Flacco today.
yeah, he got hurt.
Oh, did he get hurt?
Yeah,
Okay.
he got injured, but he did come back. So
He has looked pretty good though.
not bad. Yeah.
So, but I think they'll probably give Zach Wilson another chance. For sure. They even wasn't he crying when they benched him and said, "Oh, it's okay.
I
Don't worry." I thought I heard something about Zach Wilson was very visibly upset when they benched him.
Maybe.
So, yeah. So I mean, maybe we'll just be Bills and the Eagles. So, damn Tampa Bay, my pick. Screw it up.
Well, like you said earlier with baseball, or with the Philadelphia, not baseball, but football, that the Eagles are the easy pick. Well, that was the easy pick going into the season this year. So
What, the Bills?
no, Tampa Bay.
Oh, Tampa Bay.
Dan Buccaneers.
Well, with Tom Brady and all those weapons on offense,
yeah.
you just kind of assume that they'd be good. But even that's kind of weird too, because there's something off about that. If Bruce Arians was a bigger deal than most people thought, or
Well, Todd Bowles is basically a defensive coach. I mean, he's got a defensive background. He's a really good defensive coordinator, but maybe not the best coach.
yes, but you don't think Tom Brady could help scheme or do something there?
Well, him and Brian Leftwich, his offensive coordinator, is the one that run most of the offense, and I don't see Todd Bowles over there too often interfering in what they're doing. He's just kind of a figurehead, really. You show the games, he's always just standing silent with his arms crossed and his headphones on. And I never see him really talking or interacting with any other coaches. He's just there kind of listening. And I think he gives his coordinators, space to do or run whatever they think they should.
Because this is weird to say, because you can watch it and you can go, there's something off about this team, but you just don't you can't really put your finger on it. And it's just you see all the talent, and it just makes you kind of question it. I feel like the Broncos and the Bucks are kind of those two teams for me this year. Because, I don't want to bring up the Packers again because I'm tired of talking about their dumbasses.
I'm tired of listening about them.
Yeah, I know, but you could point at certain things where you're like, okay, the coaching is really bad here, and then you can see certain things happening while they're losing. Tampa Bay it's just off, and I just can't put my finger on it.
Well, their offensive line hasn't been healthy all year. Tom is definitely declined a little bit. He
hasn't played well.
He hasn't played well. He just doesn't have the arm strength he had. He might be injured a little bit. And these teams have played him so many times now that they, have tried so many things that didn't work. Eventually, they're finding things that do work. And with the porous offensive line, what they're doing is just putting pressure on him. And so he's having to, just dump it off or just throw a big lob up down the field. And for all the talent that Mike Evans has, he drops a lot of balls and, just does. Him and Tom don't seem to be on the same page a lot. Well, he'll run it in and Tom throws the out, or, they just don't read covers the same. And when you run those kind of patterns, you need to be on the same page. And for whatever reason, there's many times where him and his fellow receivers don't seem to be on the same page, and he's throwing to air, and he's throwing to an area of the field, and the guy's not there.
Sounds reasonable to me.
But you would also think that these guys have played together for several years, so that issue shouldn't
exist.
But exists. Thank you. But
especially when they're so talented.
Mm-hmm.
So I just hate looking at these standings and then thinking about what I predicted to start the year.
I don't think it's so bad.
Rams is my 1 seed. That's not looking good. Bears in last place where they should be. Even though shout out Justin Fields, I said Darnell Mooney, sleeper in fantasy. He still hasn't been good, but Justin Fields has been really good.
Well, Darnell Mooney's injured enough for the year, so that's why he's not good.
But even when Justin Fields was getting the hang of it, he wasn't. That's the point I was making.
So fantasy tidbit, don't start Darnell Mooney in your fantasy lineup the rest of the year. You're welcome.
Yes, okay, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Plus, Darnell Mooney got dropped in every league anyways.
Well, yes.
But no, like we said, Justin Fields, this was the year for him to put it together, and he's doing it.
Well, he's playing well, and they're starting to tailor the offense to what he does.
Which is dumb to say, because why weren't they doing that last year or at the beginning of this year? Oh, cool. They're finally tailoring the offense to their franchise quarterback, hopefully.
They're incorporating the quarterback run game. I mean, when you have that much money invested in one player, you don't want to put him at risk by having him out there running around. But he's not a pure passer. I mean, we can say that comfortably. And
sure, he passed maybe 200 yards a game.
Yeah, that's not his game. He's on the move. Make things happen. Make defenses move and open up gaps in the secondary, or in the flats where he can just kind of flip the ball to an open guy. Or if they turn and run with the receivers, then he just gets out and he runs up the field for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 yards.
Well, it's kind of been leaning that way forever, but we're finally getting to it. That's the prototypical NFL quarterback. Mahomes does it, moves around, has arm strength. Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson. I
think he's developed a mindset now, or the coaches have given the permission to have the mindset where if your first, second read's not there, just go. If there's an opening and you think you got a chance to run for, whatever, go for it. Yep. Just don't. He's not a pure pocket passer, so he can't sit there and go through all his progressions, because then he gets sacked and he gets anxious, and so, or he stares down a receiver, and that causes the interception. So, get him out there. Say, you got take your first 2 reads, maybe 3 reads if they're not there, and you see a seam, just run it up, get as many yards as you can, and we'll live to fight the next down.
Yeah, the injury thing is always what scares it, but I think finally they'll kind of realize that is the quarterback that you kind of want. Because Michael Vick was that kind of quarterback before anyone was that kind of quarterback, which made him so crazy to watch.
Well, plus he was super fast. I mean, Justin Fields is fast, but Michael Vick was crazy fast.
Well, I know, but still, moving around. Plus, he had an arm, too. They always showed that play against Washington on Monday night where he runs and he just, it's like a 70-yard throw all the way downfield. And it's just like, man, Michael Vick was really good to watch.
Well, they had I can't remember if it was a playoff game or not, but he was playing the Vikings and he just was playing for the Falcons still, and he was just weaving his way through the defense. And it must have went like 65, 70 yards, and the play broke down, and he took off running. Just was whining through guys. Of course, he would always carry the ball out there in one hand in space, and I was like, oh, he's going to get it knocked out.
I hate that. The worst was to watch LaShawn McCoy. He'd do that a lot, too. He just hold it out, and it's just like, hold on to the fucking ball. Yeah. Good thing I'm not an Eagles fan. So.
Well, we've buried the lead, which I think is probably the lead story, and let's jump into it. Colorado Buffaloes hired Deion Sanders as their new coach.
Prime time.
Yes.
Prime time.
Interestingly enough, he's the third black coach in a row that Colorado has hired.
Who are the other two, do you know?
Well, Carl Durrell, who just got fired, was the last one. And I do not remember who was before Carl.
Well, Colorado football hasn't been a whole lot to celebrate the last
No,
few
they
years.
haven't. They were just coming off being 1-11 last year. But Deion brings name recognition. He makes the Buffaloes a national brand. right from the get-go. So their games will be on TV, and they'll get good,
Recruits.
I would say good reviews, but they'll get I want to say good eyeballs, but that's probably not. They'll get a lot of eyeballs on their team.
A lot of media attention.
Yeah. And Colorado's had success, and it's a beautiful part of the country, so I don't think Deion will have a problem getting people there. It'll just be how many and when.
Well, he was going to have people going to Jackson State.
Yeah,
just based off his name recognition alone.
Yeah,
which was the appealing part of having him as your coach.
Yes. Well, he despite being in below low level school, he got the #1 recruit in the nation to commit to go to his school.
Exactly.
So
people are going to want to go play for Deion.
If he can do that at that school where they don't have that much money to allocate for NIL or what have you, imagine what he's going to do at Colorado.
Well, I'll let you. You have Deion. You have a lot of Deion notes, so I'll let you go first before I chime in.
The main thing is, I see plus and minuses, and really I only have one minus, and I'll get to that. But with the NIL, name, image, likeness, who better to work that and show you how to do that and work your social media than Neon Deion? I mean, he actually has his own a video company, a media company, and they're actually producing basically a real time video life of his time as a Colorado coach. They've been following him around since he got named coach of Colorado, and they're put like little vignettes up on his website or whatever that he has.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so and Colorado's social media has gone up 142% since he was named coach. I believe it was Instagram, and then the actual football feed has been up 27%. So there's interest, and then they've sold 6,000 tickets for season tickets for 2023. So he's bringing people out of the woodwork. He's got interest in the program, and he hasn't even landed a recruit yet. But however, he has told you who his starting quarterback will be. He told you that in his initial press conference when he mentioned his son would be his starting quarterback. But then he threw in he had to earn the job. But I think that was just to make everything legal-like.
What'd you see? You saw the video of him talking to the team, right?
Well, I was going to get to that, but yeah, he's
what he said.
He basically told all his guys to jump into the transfer portal because they weren't going to be good enough, and he was bringing his luggage, and he referred to it as Louis, which we can only assume means Louis Vuitton, the best. But basically, he was saying that he's bringing people with him, probably some transfers from Jackson State, and I'm sure he'll do well in the transfer portal, drawing the big names in. And I know he's already got a couple commits. He got a kid to flip from Notre Dame, top running back, to commit to Colorado. So he's already got that. I think he landed a 3-star receiver so far. But the interesting thing is I know they're in on a couple guys that Nebraska's trying to get to come in on the transfer portal. And I have a feeling Colorado and Nebraska will be butting heads a lot on the recruiting trail in the transfer portal and for high school players.
Well, that's like our second game next year too.
Well, Nebraska seems to always be able to bring in the top guy in Colorado every few years to come play there, so it'll be interesting. And of course, they all say the same thing. We got to lock down the borders of Colorado, and all the top talent in Colorado is going to stay here, And they'll get looks just because of who Deion is. Recruits that might not even give him a second thought. Well, at least take the time and effort to listen. And Deion has a background. I believe he's a minister or a preacher.
I'm not 100% sure.
So imagine him coming into your house, on your official visit and talking to you and trying to get you to commit to his program. I mean, I think that'd be hard for somebody to turn down in that moment. Just because the way he speaks to people. And I've seen many people talk about Deion, the way you see Deion on TV, that's how he is with everybody. He knows when to turn it on. He knows when to turn it off. He just knows how to speak to people. And I can see, the ministry part coming into play there if that's true, which I believe it, is. I don't know if he's ordained or what have you, but I believe he is a minister or a priest of some sort.
Well, because when he got hired to Colorado, I watched that locker room thing, which I thought was hilarious that he told him to go jump in the transfer portal because he's bringing his guys. Mm-hmm. I just thought that was really funny. I don't know if that's necessarily the best image to have, but I mean, shoot, he's bringing Colorado, no comment. So, but no, I was watching some of his because people record his talks at practices at Jackson State when they're there at 7 in the morning talking to him, and a lot of it he's talking about football, but he's talking about life and like values and morals. So I can definitely see that minister thing. Like he's not just there to coach football; he's like teaching young men how to like live and like live their life and work hard. So I can definitely, and then plus it's Deion Sanders who doesn't want to go play for. I think it's more appealing. I don't want to throw Matt Rule under the bus, but this is just an example. Like you got this guy like Matt Rule. Who, I mean, he doesn't really look like he's a football player, older, or you can have like one of the greatest corners of all time to go play with, who's like charismatic. Just kind of that way, naturally, people are going to go look at Deion. Obviously,
well, Matt Rule's substance and not so much style.
Yeah, I was just using him as an example.
No, I get it, but Deion's style with substance that still needs to be proven. I mean, he's proved it at Jackson State, but Colorado's a whole different ballgame.
Exactly. That's the question.
He has several things working in his favor. Colorado's so bad they're willing to do anything. So really, this is a no-lose situation as far as they're concerned. He brings in a starting quarterback with him for at least 2 years. He's probably promised several transfers from other schools. And not to mention the fact that UCLA and USC are leaving the Pac-12. And so who's he really going to be battling with to win that conference? You know, there's nobody really dominant outside those two, and those two will be gone after this year. So everything, you know, is in place for Deion to go to Colorado and be really successful and possibly win the conference in year 2 or 3. And if they redo the bowl pairings, you know, and each conference gets a champion, he's got a good shot to be in that championship game and possibly go to the playoffs. And I'd say by his second or third year, maybe. And especially if he drives away all these college kids that he's saying aren't good enough, you know, because he wants to make the team in his own image. But how much can you make over a team? I mean, can you really get rid of 60 players and bring in 60 more players?
Exactly.
You know, I don't know how many people you can land in the transfer portal, but
I mean, a lot of people are going to want to go over there. So, I mean, shoot, based off interest alone, you could probably bring a whole team with them. No, but like you said, Colorado's so down in the crapper that this is a win-win situation for him. It either works out, or if it doesn't work out, you still get all this name recognition and branding for you. Like, it wouldn't make sense for like a Nebraska to hire Deion because they're trying to work their way out of. They're not trying to build a new reputation.
Well, with farm work ethic and, you know, a lot of the rural areas of Nebraska that, you know, support the Cornhuskers, I don't think Deion would really be accepted in that, you know, initially. You know, maybe he could go out there and, you know, win over the people. But initially that hire just would not go well at Nebraska.
No, he's too big of a question mark to go. Like, yeah, cool, we get the big, maybe like hot shot transfers and to get a lot of names, but like, I mean, besides Jackson State, Deion Sanders is not a proven guy. So, I mean, a guy more established like Matt Rule makes more sense than just like a name recognition like Deion Sanders. But like you said, for Colorado, when it's at that point where they're so low, it doesn't really matter. They just need more eyes back on the football player. Just to get excitement back, he makes sense. And if he doesn't work out, oh, well, he kind of builds he's going to build at least some sort of traditional work ethic there. So, I think it's a great hire for Colorado, personally.
Well, Deion, the person, is the name recognition at Colorado. And he's hoping that by being successful there, he'll make Colorado the name recognition. Whereas in Nebraska, Matt Rule is a great coach, but Nebraska itself is the name recognition.
Exactly.
And that'll elevate the coach, whoever that is, you know, just by being the Nebraska coach, where it's the opposite at Colorado.
Well, that's exactly Deion's going to. But yes, Deion's the name recognition, but that's obviously going to rub off on Colorado.
Oh, definitely.
No matter, even if they're not as good, he's going to build some sort of leave there. That program is going to be back. It's just going to be back in general for people to see. I mean, when you're 1-11 and suck, no one's looking at you at all. But if Deion Sanders comes in, you win 7 games, and then he get fired,
which shouldn't be hard to do.
So, I mean, it just makes him more noticeable.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because you and I initially had intention of going to the Nebraska-Colorado game, but the fact that Nebraska versus Colorado at Folsom Field is going to be the first home game for Deion Sanders as coach, those ticket prices are going to probably go up, 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 up.
And then people kept posting the photo last time.
And even the Colorado AD at the press conference said, "Don't sell your tickets to Nebraska, people. We know who you are. We'll find you.
But they showed the photos last time Nebraska was in Colorado. Half the stadium was red.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could see that happening.
Well, Nebraskans will pay up. And, some Colorado fans will rather have the money than the tickets.
Well, plus, everyone's reselling tickets at this point.
Well,
you can go anywhere and buy a ticket.
Plus, if you have a good setup at home, you can watch on TV for a lot less.
But it would be cool to see Deion Sanders for his head coach at Colorado. Just to say you were there.
Yeah.
We can say we're at Bo Pelini's last game ever as a Nebraska coach.
Thank God.
Nothing. I didn't like Bo Pelini, but he was a good coach.
Well, we don't need to rehash that, but
I know. We just like to bring it up.
Yeah, Deion got a 5-year deal for $29.5 million. So they put their money where their mouths were, and he had the offer apparently for quite a while before he finally actually accepted it. And he had offers from several other schools. I believe Cincinnati offered him the job, and I think South Florida possibly. And I know he interviewed at a couple other schools last year. I believe Arkansas was the biggest name I do remember, and they interviewed him twice. But apparently Arkansas's AD had some concerns about who his assistant coaches were going to be. But at Colorado, he just got a guy from Alabama's defensive staff to come in as his DC, and then he got the Kent State head coach to come as his OC. So he's bringing in names as not only as players but as coaches. So it'll be interesting to see who else he fills out his staff with.
Yeah, Colorado just makes sense for him too, especially if he's trying to bring his own. I mean, I've said it 15 times already. Colorado's at the bottom of the barrel, so he can pretty much change whatever he wants.
Yeah, well, imagine being an assistant coach somewhere, and Coach Sanders calls us, "Hey, I'd like you to come be so-and-so at Colorado." Well, just being at Colorado on the staff of Deion Sanders is going to elevate your profile
exactly
just by having that job. And then if you turn around and produce as that position of coach or what have you, that even ups your brand even more. So
I think this is good. It's just a knockout the park for Colorado in general.
Yeah. Since 2003, Colorado has been 89 and 152. Now, unfortunately, 2 of those 89 have come against Nebraska the last couple of years, which I just roll my eyes at because that shouldn't have happened. But anyway, Nebraska has another shot at Colorado, and I'd be more than happy to see the Big Red go in there and give Deion his first L, especially at his first home game. But I'll just be nervous just because it's Deion Sanders, and he can motivate guys and lift them up to do things they might not otherwise be able to do. And right now, we don't know who's even going to be on his team, let alone
he told the old team to get the hell out.
But his son, yeah. So basically, it's just him and his son sitting in the locker room going, "Well, Dad, can you fill these lockers in?" So
it's like the Will Smith meme in Fresh Prince, where he's standing in the living room that's all empty.
Mm-hmm.
You ever see that photo?
No.
He's got his hands in his pocket. And he's just staring, and it's a completely empty living room. They usually use that meme when it's like someone's by themselves.
I thought it was going to be a funny caption or something to go with it, but apparently not.
Well, no, people make the caption.
Oh, I see.
So, like, now the caption would be Rafael Devers standing in the Red Sox locker room looking around for all his All-Star teammates. Nope, they all went somewhere else.
This is why Fast Intentions is generational. Because you're talking about these memes that I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, you didn't know what Chocolate Rain was last time.
I still don't.
Or 2 times ago.
I still don't.
You got to watch that video.
I shall not. I'll be watching some Christmas videos. Love me some Dean Martin. Let it snow, let it snow.
That's why it's generational.
Yeah.
Because all the stupid comments we make appeal to one side or the other.
Yep. I make the good comments. You make the bad comments.
That's not what I meant.
That's how we balance out.
Age-wise.
All right. You behind the thrusters? You got the switch in hand?
Yeah, sure. You know what I also realized about this segment? It's called Nuggets, but then it's a rocket ship.
Well, it's Nuggets. I mean, it's the sounder you came up with, so we just went with it.
So, I mean, it's just kind of weird. Shouldn't we, change
Would you rather call them asteroids?
No, we'll stick with Nuggets.
Well,
right,
shot down.
It's time for Fast Intentions Nuggets.
Shot down.
You go first.
Okay. I want to turn to hockey. Tage Thompson of the Buffalo Sabres tied a record by scoring 5 goals in a game. He did this against the Columbus Blue Jackets the other night. He scored 4 of his goals in the first period, and he scored all 4 within 16 minutes and 40 seconds, which makes him the second fastest player in NHL history to score 4 goals in a game.
Dang.
And the
Impressive.
original 6 have been around since the late 1800s, early 1900s. So, and that's quite the feat. So, props to Teague and Thompson and the Buffalo Sabres. I think did I call them the Blue Sabres earlier?
I don't know. I wasn't paying
I
attention.
meant the Buffalo Sabres. For some reason, I want to say I call them the Blue Sabres, but the Buffalo Sabres.
You're talking about the Blue Jays signing Kevin Kiermaier.
Yeah, that was a good signing.
Just bring that up,
Is
random.
that your nugget?
Sure, that could be one of my nuggets. Or
That was a good signing.
Yeah, that was a good sign for that, especially because they lost Teoscar Hernandez, which an all-star. But then you kind of question, well, you thought they'd maybe replace him then, because the Blue Jays are still trying to compete in that division too, but they haven't really done much. Besides, I mean, Kevin Kiermaier is a decent signing, but he's been hurt lately, not as good as he used to be. I don't think so. That is a pretty good nugget. I'll stick with that. Kevin Kiermaier signed with the Blue Jays. I don't know if you have another nugget ready to go.
Yeah, I do. Grant Wistrom got named to the Orange Bowl Hall of Fame.
The Orange Bowl has its own Hall of Fame.
Well, Hall of Fame or all-time team. I had a photo thing saved, but I don't know where it went. Because it had my stats listed, but I went to a party last night and took some photos, and I've kind of lost all my stuff.
Where'd you go last night?
Here it is. My girlfriend has a friend who's Filipino, and they have the Filipino group has like a big Christmas party every year, and so she was invited, and so she invited me. Yeah, the Orange Bowl Hall of Fame, class of 2022. Defensive lineman, Nebraska, Grant Wistrom. 3-time national champion, 3-time Orange Bowl winner, 10 tackles, 1 sack, 1 patch breakup, and 1 tackle for loss. 2-time consensus All-American, 97 Lombardi Award winner, and 2009 College Football Hall of Fame inductee. And I will also say one of my favorite Husker players of all time. So what I love about Grant is the success he had at Nebraska translated to the NFL, and he had several good years with the Rams and Seahawks, and he actually won the Super Bowl with the Rams in '99. So props to Grant. Congratulations. Webb City, Missouri native, Grant Wistrom. Orange Bowl Hall of Fame. Nathan.
Oh, yeah. All right, my next one was Tom Brady and the Bucs got slapped today, as we talked about earlier, by the San Francisco 49ers. Oop. There's Windows making an appearance.
Is that your slapping effect?
No, that wasn't my slapping effect. I was just checking the recording, and then the Windows decided to make some noise. But Tom Brady, I think he threw 2-3 picks today against the 49ers, and then Dre Greenlaw came up to Tom Brady. He started the football that he intercepted from him, and he asked Tom Brady to sign it for him, and Tom Brady did after the game. So there's a photo of it on here. He goes up to him, and Tom Brady signs the football for him. I don't know if Brady knew if that was the football he picked him off with, but he still signed it for him. So you pick off the GOAT, you got to get your photo. So
okay, my next nugget is Purdue coach Jeff Brom has taken the job at Louisville. Now he's a native of Louisville, and he was a former quarterback for Louisville. He's passed over the job at least once, maybe twice before, but there's an old saying, when mama calls, you answer. And mama called, and he couldn't say no this time. So Jeff Brom, new coach at Louisville for the Cardinal, and we'll wait and see who the new Purdue coach will be. It'll be interesting because it'll be somebody Nebraska will face every year in their division of the Big Ten.
wait, what was that? What was that saying? When mama calls, you answer.
Yeah, when mama calls, you answer.
I've never heard that one before.
So like your alma mater's the mama, and she's like, "Hey, come back home, come back home."
Okay.
And
I just never heard someone say that.
You know, when you went to a school and you played there, and I mean, it's like Scott Frost. It's the dream to go be the coach there, and he's turned it down before, but then the jobs come open again, and so they said, "Well, hey Jeff," and so finally he decided to say, "Yeah, I'm coming home." So
cool. Okay, my last nugget. Do you have any more nuggets?
I just had one more after that.
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of play off this one. So.
Well, my last one was Brittany Griner came back
Yes.
from Russia, so congrats to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
That situation was terrible, so I'm just glad that she's back home safe and she get to be with her family again. So, because I don't know how was that 8 months, I think she was in Russia,
and it was a trumped up charge. You know,
it was just like a vape cartridge.
Yeah, and she had it in her package unknowingly, but because of who she was and the profile of who she was, and at the time, they just tried to make an example out of her, and then they were going to give her 9 months in federal prison or what have you.
It was like years. She was in a penal colony, which she had to do like labor.
Yeah, and so it was just. I think the Biden administration was under some pressure to try to get her home. Unfortunately, they couldn't get Paul Whelan home, who's been in captivity since December 2018, and they've been talking about him as espionage, doing espionage, but the USA and his wife say that none of it's true, and all the evidence they have is just like garbage, basically. But unfortunately, he's still over there. But we traded back Victor Bout, the Merchant of Death. So
you don't really want to send him over there.
He's a known arms dealer and would deal arms to enemies of the United States, for lack of a better term. So
yes, but the main thing is we got Brittany Griner back. She was over there way too long on terrible charges, so we're just glad to see her back, home and healthy.
And it was good to see a lot of her fellow WNBA and the NBA people support her to try to get her back home.
And she got too much crap on social media from random losers, so it's good to see her back.
And the fact that she's black and lesbian, just people just jumped on all that, and that shouldn't matter. Mm-hmm. Either one shouldn't matter.
Nope.
So yeah, glad to see Brittany home in time for Christmas. So Merry Christmas to her. My last one was just a funny take. Well, not funny, but the old Louisville coach, where Jeff Brom just got hired, left to go to Cincinnati. Now, do you know what's weird about that?
No.
Cincinnati and Louisville are supposed to play in a bowl game.
Oh, this year?
Yes.
Oh.
So this coach's name is Scott Satterfield. He's the new Cincinnati Bearcat coach. He said it's kind of a weird situation. Cincinnati playing Louisville in the bowl game. I've told both teams I'm removing myself from the bowl game. So apparently he's just going to be on the sidelines watching, and he's going to leave it to the assistant coaches who are at either school to run the teams for the bowl game. But it's just kind of a funny how that worked out. And I believe that game was already scheduled when he took the job, so he kind of knew that was going to be. I don't want to say an issue, but he knew that would be something to be dealt with once he took that position.
That's just an odd circumstance.
Yeah.
So
I'm
gonna go play. I'm gonna go coach for the team that we're playing in the bowl game.
Yeah, to have these kids that you recruited and brought to Louisville and and coached and got them to this game, and then say, okay, now when you play this bowl game, I'm gonna be over on the sideline coaching that team. So yeah, props to him. He made the right decision by abstaining from the game.
But that's always the worst part about college too, because you recruit these kids, and like they're just kids.
Yeah.
So you want to see them succeed and stuff, and then you just kind of leave them in the dust, and that kind of just. Well, now I'm stuck at this school with some guy I don't really want to play for. So it's always kind of a crappy situation.
Well, that's where the transfer portal comes in, too. You're allowed one transfer during your 4-year career unless, and I believe you get an exemption if the coach is fired or quits or leaves for whatever reason. You could have a waiver to transfer again. But I can't remember I think it was a tight end I saw this week. He was at Oklahoma, transferred out, and then he's transferring back to Oklahoma now this year. So, who knows?
Oh, well, that reminds me of, what's his face that played for Central basketball? Okoye? A gal? Mm-hmm. Remember when he went to Louisville and then he transferred? I think he went back to Louisville eventually. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, he went to several big-name schools but never really played much at any of them.
It was Louisville, it was Georgetown, and then I think he was with SMU, and I think he went back to Louisville.
Yeah.
So I think it was just he was a good player, but I think Louisville was too renowned that he didn't really get much of an opportunity there.
Yeah,
so, because I think they were the top school at that point.
Yeah, Louisville is one of those schools that just always gets the top players, and
so I think he just kind of didn't fit in there.
Yeah, he was probably, no offense to him personally, but he was probably more like a second level instead of a top level player.
Well, no, because that's the thing. I think when people are able to get nationally recruited, they want to go play for a big school. But if you aren't like a top player, there's no guarantee you're going to get any time there. Mm-hmm. So you kind of want to go to a second. I don't want to say second level school where you get more of an opportunity to showcase yourself. Because if most people's goals, obviously, I don't know if it's necessarily their goal, but the chance to go to the next level is always in their mind. So no matter where you go, the scouts are going to find you. You can
Yeah.
go. You can play for like the worst team ever, and if you're good enough, they'll find you and draft you. So
Well, basketball, there's a lot of opportunities. You know, you have the G League and lower leagues, and of course you can go overseas. You know,
Exactly.
I know a kid who played for Omaha here locally. He's playing overseas now and making a pretty good career of it. So yeah, there's all kinds of opportunities in basketball if you're good, or even if you're not good. I mean, if you have the love of the game to keep playing, there's always places to go and play. So.
Ooh, that's the last nugget I totally forgot about. I wanted to shout out Nebraska basketball for finally beating Creighton in basketball.
Yeah, GBR.
I first 2004 is the last time they beat Creighton. I think it was somewhere in the early 2000s, and it was in the NIT tournament.
Yeah, they gave Purdue quite a game yesterday.
In overtime.
Because I remember somebody at work saying, I'm going to listen to the game. I said, it's going to be a blowout. And then when I was making the delivery, I saw it on TV, and it was like tied in overtime. I'm like, oh. So I started listening to it. Well, sorry, guys. I probably jinxed you. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, because Purdue is like 11-0 and has
The fourth in the country.
probably the odds-on favorite for the player of the year that I can't think of his name right now, but the kid that's center for Purdue is like 7'3" or something. It's just ungodly huge. And
Nebraska never has anyone big. The tallest guy's like 6'9".
well, they have a kid who's a little bit taller. He's like 6'11", but he's from the junior college, and he's still getting his feet. Derek Walker's Nebraska's guy who's 6'8", the transfer from Tennessee from a couple years ago.
He played great against Creighton.
And he's 6'8", so he was in there battling, but it's just a size mismatch. And but props to Nebraska and Coach Hoiberg. He seems like he might have the program moving in the right direction after a couple of years of
Nothing.
decline. So hopefully this is a good sign, and
They also played.
Trev won't have to make a basketball hire.
They also played Indiana tough. As long as Nebraska's being competitive in these games, he's going to probably keep the job. Like we said, he's probably was going to go out the window. Especially at the beginning of the year, they had some bad losses, but beating Creighton for the first time in 18 years, that's always good. And then being competitive for top, because the Big Ten's one of the best basketball conferences, if not one of the best, if not the best. So, yeah, good for Fred Hoiberg. Good to see finally have some success going on there in Nebraska.
Yeah, and
I hate Creighton, so it's always fun to beat them.
I think I believe Indiana's ranked in the top 10, so they've played 3 top 10 schools
In a row.
And so
They didn't get blown up by Indiana, and then Purdue was in overtime.
well, they played without Sam Griesel that game. He got really
Yes.
sick, and apparently he made the trip, but stayed in the hotel while they
Yes.
went to play. So
Yeah, he played great against Creighton, too. Him and Derek Walker.
yeah, so
Zach Edey was that guy for Purdue, too.
yeah,
He's 7'4",
yeah, he's
from
he's
Canada.
huge.
So
He's huge, but I will say he's not a beanpole. A lot of these tall guys like that you see are pretty wiry, but he's fairly got some muscle on him. So
But that's because you'll watch some taller guys and their footwork's kind of bad. They kind of lumber around, but
yeah, Matt Painter's got a pretty good program there, and he's always had some extra tall centers, in the league the last few years. He's for whatever reason he does a good job recruiting those guys to Purdue. And I can remember Matt Painter as a player. I mean, he's not super tall. I think he's like 6'7", 6'8", maybe if I remember.
yeah, who's that guy? That
He was a pretty successful player, and I think he might have been all Big Ten while he was at Purdue himself. But
who was that? I can't think of that guy's name. The last center that was there who was really good for Purdue.
yeah, I can picture him, a big tall guy.
I can't think of his name, which sucks because this is our podcast. We always think of something. We can't figure out who it is. Well, that's an awkward silence to end the show. I think this is probably a fitting way to end the show. Us coming up with someone and can't think of their name, so.
Yeah, it's kind of typical of us. We just say, we don't have that information.
Yes, we're not 100% experts around here, but we try our best.
We had good, fast intentions, but they just didn't happen.
Yes. So thanks again for listening to episode number 10, correct?
Yeah, double digits. We made double digits, so thank you. Props.
I know. I can't believe we've done it this long.
Yeah.
No signs of stopping now. We'll get to triple digits eventually.
Woohoo! Yeah, so let's take care of some business. Please, if you follow us on YouTube, like and subscribe. We've been stuck at 21 subscribers for quite a while. And so if you're out there, help us make that push. We want to get to 25, maybe 30 here. We don't have a specific timeline, but we've been stuck at 21 for a while. So let's get that up. Even if you listen to us on Spotify, please go to YouTube and just subscribe.
But if you do watch us on Spotify, make sure to like and rate us 5 stars too.
Yes, very good. But if you do follow us on YouTube, as I was going to finish saying, even if you don't want to listen to us, just subscribe. That'll help us out. The only thing you'll get is you'll get like a little notification at the bottom of the screen that says, hey, there's a new version of one of your favorite podcasts. And it might show up in your scroll on your feed, but you can just go right by it if you want.
Well, you subscribe. You don't even have to hit the notification bell if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Notification bell tells you when you upload. You don't even have to do that.
Yeah, we don't want you doing that because if you hear that bell, you might stop what you're doing and go to Taco Bell. So,
like a
free shout out Taco Bell. How about some food comps? Huh?
Like what's his face in the NBA and I hated seeing that commercial all the time when he gets drafted and then he goes to Taco Bell. I can't think of that kid's name because he's an actual player that got drafted, but I can't think of his name. He's from Wisconsin, I think.
Way to keep up the theme of the show there, Nathan.
Johnny Davis, that's his name.
Oh, okay.
I think it's Johnny Davis. Something Davis.
That's just a random name.
Johnny.
Just came up
No,
with.
his name. Or is it Johnny Curtis? I don't know. Johnny Curtis, no, that was a WWE wrestler.
Johnny Be Good?
Johnny Be Good.
We're back up on the hills among the evergreens.
Yeah, Johnny Davis. Johnny Curtis was the WWE wrestler on NXT back in 2011. Hey, WWE NXT, that had all the best players. Showtime Percy Watson.
Oh, yeah. He was funny. I remember you talking about him. He had like these fake glasses that would get knocked off, but they didn't have any lenses in them.
And he acted like he couldn't
he'd
see.
walk around like he couldn't see. And he'd be like, oh, stumbling around.
Well,
and have his hands out in front
the
of him.
commentators always say those don't even got lenses in them. Like, what's he
Yeah.
doing? Because he'd always had the little dance he did.
Yeah.
Good times. Good WWE times.
Yeah. So exciting times. Football season's starting to wind down. So next time we talk, we'll probably have a pretty good idea who's going to be in the playoffs and a lot of the playoff scenario. And
Celtics still have the best record in the league,
Celtics.
even though we lost to Golden State last night.
Yes. We'll have some more free agent signings probably to talk about. College basketball being full swing. I mean, it's 11, 12 games in, but, it's still overlapping with college football. So
Once it gets in the conference schedule.
The bowl games will have started, and I think maybe we'll do some predictions on bowl games and see how we do. But, yeah, a couple things coming down the pipe, and I know it'll be busy for everybody with the Christmas season coming up. So be careful out there. Watch for scams. I mean, I get stuff on my emails and phone calls all the time, so just be diligent, be heads up. If, as they say, if something seems to be too good to be true, it probably is.
Don't be falling for scams. Don't be falling for scams. They're too easy to point out. Don't fall for them.
Yes. And if you're going to order or by mail, get them in. Get them ordered early because
you only got 2 weeks left.
we only have 2
Not
weeks
even.
left. Yep.
So by the time I upload this, it'll be. I'm going to try and upload it tonight, though.
Oh, very good.
So
yeah, thanks for listening. I know this episode was a little bit scattered, but it's late at night, and we both had long days. And
yeah,
long
with the
weeks,
shovel.
so-
This was supposed to be an early thing, but then there was breakfast, and I had to work, so it was late notice. So, but it's okay. We got it out here for you, and I still got the bitch about the Red Sox, so it was all good.
He got to vent. This is his venting session. So
Even then, I didn't really say it fluently. I was so disheveled. Cool, we got some Japanese guy that can hit maybe 300, hopefully. But they say he's a minus defender in the outfield, so that's great. Oh, next Sunday is the next time we record is Christmas.
no, it's
Christmas is in 2 weeks.
yeah. We'll have to.
We'll figure something out. But yes, maybe we'll push it back an extra week. But so if we don't see you, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays if you celebrate, or whatever holiday you celebrate. Happy that. So if we don't see you then, otherwise we'll let you know probably on the Twitter.
Yeah, so I share the sentiment. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all that. And until then, I hope you're good. Santa will come see you.
Ho, 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 ho.